This video is going to be on changing out, swapping out, replacing, reinstalling a new outlet and faceplate in a house, condo, apartment, wherever. I've got the old style, ugly, cream-colored faceplate and outlet. I'm going to be replacing it with a white faceplate and a white outlet. They're both grounded. I've done some other videos on this. I've got some really cool videos on my channel, so make sure you check all that stuff out. Let me get this out of the way. Please do a thumbs up, a subscribe, or a like. It helps out my channel a lot. If you want to donate to my channel, ask for my PayPal info. And if there's a product you want me to review, if I can get a hold of it, I'll do the review. So let's get going with this video. I'm up in the loft over here. I'm going to be swapping out 3 of these outlets, so I'm just going to do them all together. It doesn't take that long. It's not that hard to do if you've never done this before. You really can't screw it up, and if you screw it up, then you hire an electrician to fix up your mess, or you hire a handyman for a few bucks and you get it done. The most important thing is make sure there is no power. Normally what I do is I plug this in and I check to make sure that the power is wired right with the grounding and the line and the neutral. I've already done that, but I'm just making sure there is no power on the thing right now. I've also got a meter. I'm going to plug the meter in to double check to make sure there is no, where's the camera? I want to make sure there's no power on there. It shows no voltage for AC. That's the most important thing, because if you have power on here and you touch some of these wires, it'll be the last thing you'll be doing for the rest of your life, because it will be over. So don't do this unless you have some idea of what you're doing, unless you're careful, unless you feel qualified. Otherwise, hire somebody to do it. So I know there is no power on this thing right now. Normally, I would put a paper towel underneath to catch all the dust, but I was up in the loft and I forgot to bring it with me. So the first thing you're going to do is get a screwdriver and take off the faceplate. My hand's going to get in the way of the camera a little bit. Sorry. I've got the best lighting I can under the circumstances, and I'll try to keep my hand out of the way. So we've got paint going in the screws, which is normal. Just go in there and try to move the paint out of the screw heads enough so that you can get a screwdriver in there to remove the 2 screws holding the outlet in. So I did that. Let's get the camera over here. Sometimes get the screwdriver, just press in really hard, and it will help you break the paint seal. And so sometimes there are little pieces of material behind these screws that stop them from, when you unscrew it, if they stop the screws from falling out. They might come off with the screw, they might fall into the junction box. Not a big deal, they are not conductive. Okay, this might take a while. Again, it's not a hard project, but you run into stupid things like this. The screw is stuck, or you break the wall board. You can see the drywall. You can see how it's been patched up a bunch of times. It's really common in these homes to find that. Okay, so the screw came out. I'm going to take out the top screw. Paint is in the way, so I'm going to press hard, break the seal. Okay, so that's coming loose. And we can see now that the little ears that are on the outlet are stuck to the paint. Be really careful with that. Mostly because if you pull too hard, you might break the paint seal, or you might pull the paint off the wall. The screw is disconnected. Okay, the screw's out of the socket. You don't want to break the wall board. If you do, I got a video on how to patch it up. Not a big deal, or just go out and buy a large faceplate and put it over there. All right, so we removed the paint seal. Now we're going to take the outlet out. Again, don't just yank this thing out of there. You might break the wall board. And see, this is really tight. The way this was installed, they did a patch-up job after they installed it. So, and it's going to break. It's going to break right now. You can see how it's trying to break over here. I'm going to try to go around there and break some of this so that I don't have to lose it all when I pull out the outlet. See, usually, this isn't a daisy chain. That means it's chaining from one outlet to another. So this is why you get a paper towel, which I didn't do. But this is on a daisy chain circuit, which means that it's chaining from one circuit to one outlet to another. 2 wires are going in, and 2 wires, let's raise this up a little bit. I'm sitting on a rowing machine thing as I'm doing this because I'm in cramped quarters right now. So 2 wires are going in, 2 wires are going out to the next outlet, and then we have a ground wire down there, just like we have a ground screw over here, which is going to be where the ground wire goes. And then we've got the 2 new screws and the little pieces holding the screws in. So you don't want to put your hands on either side of this, even though the power's off. Just good practice to learn not to put your hand on either side because they complete the circuit and it could kill you. And also, you never want to use both hands because it can complete the circuit. And you also have to be careful, where are your feet going? If your hands are touching metal, you complete the circuit. If your feet are touching concrete, you complete the circuit to ground. So the current could go through your body, go to ground, to the actual ground on the ground, through your shoes, and if you don't have good rubber shoes, and it could wipe you out. So you got to be careful. So the main goal right now is, I was starting my video, and let me just talk about this one thing, is I've got a circuit downstairs that is connected to a 20 amp circuit, which means it's got 12 gauge wire. And this has got 14 gauge wire. It's connected to a 15 amp circuit. 14 is smaller. And on the 20 amp circuit, there's 12 gauge wire going through the system, but when it went to this outlet only needs, this is the old outlets in this place. They will handle the 12 gauge wire, but they're 15 amp outlets. So in that case, I'm going to end up going out and buying a 20 amp outlet that will be able to handle the 12 gauge wire. So you shouldn't have to run into a problem like that, but if you do, you just have to go out and buy a different outlet that will handle the size wire. Now here's an interesting thing and a dangerous thing. I'm going to try to zoom in on here so you can see this. Look down at the bottom. Zoom in a little bit. Look at the bottom white wire. Now that's not a big issue, but that wire shouldn't be hanging out. That wire should be seated in there completely, making good contact and not hanging out. So when your wires are stripped, if these wires break off when you take them out, strip them. Don't nick the wire if you can. Avoid that. And make sure that they're stripped just enough so that the insulation goes right to the outside of the outlet opening and doesn't hang out like that. That's not good. So you can see these outlets have a little hole in them where you put a flat blade screwdriver in and you press down and the wire will come out. Sometimes you have to rock it, but usually you just press down. So if you want to label these things and take them all out at once, that's up to you. I like to do them one at a time. I like to do one side of the circuit so that I don't complete the power connection if the power was on one, and then I don't have to worry about touching the screws, and then the other side. So hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, sorry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the back because it's going to be the easiest one to get the wire out of and put in a new wire without dealing with a lot of bare wires. So I've got this wire out, totally corroded. So I've got some sandpaper. You can use light sandpaper. You can use dog's downstairs wondering why I'm up here abandoning her, so she's not happy. You can use mild sandpaper. You can use steel wool. You don't even have to do this if you don't want to, but I like to do it. I like to have a clean connection like you normally would if you were using fresh wire. This wire is about 35 years old, so the correct connections are corroded. They don't look good. See, by going to the back, let's back up a little. By going to the back, I was able to get a wire that's going to be easy to insert into the new one, and it's going to make life easier for me. Okay. If you had the 12 gauge wire, trying to push it in here, like I was talking about, it would not go in. And you could put it on the screws and that would be okay. I believe the code says that if you're on a 20 amp circuit and you're going to a 15 amp outlet on the circuit, you can do that. I think that's what the code says. But I'm going to, like I said downstairs, I'm going to be replacing the 20 amp, the 15 amp outlet with a 20 amp so I can actually push the wires into the hole and not wrap them around the screws. I just want to do it the right way. I'm sure people are going to comment on the right way and the legal way, but I'm pressing in again. Just make sure you don't put your fingers over on both sides. Bad practice to do that. So I'm pushing in as I'm trying to hold the outlet, push the screwdriver in and push the wire out. And we got the wire out, so now I'm going to go clean this insulation, clean the metal. Some of the dirt off of there. Some of these things have wires going in the back. They're poked in the back, and they also have the wires going on the screws. And those are not hard, but they're not exactly easy if they don't give you enough wire to... Why doesn't this want to go into the hole? I know. Don't say any comments. No comments. Usually, a lot of times, these just don't want to fit into that hole. You got to wiggle it around because of the way the wire was cut. It's kind of not completely round on the tip. Did I say that? Okay, so we've got the black wires, and what I like to do, other people might not do this, but what I like to do, especially in an outlet like this where it's all patched up and it looks like a small outlet box, I like to screw these screws in, and I should have done that before I started this. I like to screw them in just so that they're not hanging out and they don't bump into the drywall when I go to screw it back in. And since I don't have any wires going on the screws on the other side, I'm going to do that now, keeping my hands off of the other side for safe practice. Sometimes I put the ground wire on first. Makes it easier to do and not have to touch the screws or the bare wires. Ow, it's starting to get uncomfortable sitting in here in this position to do this. All right, so now what I have to do is I've got the two white wires that have to be taken care of. And the white wire I showed you was hanging out, and it might be hanging out because they did not cut the wire. Did I bring my wire cutters with me? Yes. The wire might be too long. They might have stripped it back too far. Hard to say. So let me get my screwdriver in here now. I'm going to press down, get this out of the way. Do whichever one you need to do to ow, it doesn't want to come out. All these comments today, Let me get another screwdriver that will fit in there a little easier. Turn this out of the way. Just trying to get... Ow! Like I said, sometimes you press in, sometimes you have to go on an angle. Sometimes the wires... Okay, so we got that wire out of the way. And let me get this outlet out of the way. Now we'll go work on this one, the back. It's barely being held in there. That is not good. And there goes some drywall that just fell off. So I'm going to go sand this stuff off now. Clean it up. Put that in the hole. Yes, and now, is this one too long? No, that's not too long. Oh, what did I do? I just took the wire out and I put it back in the hole when I took it out. Not thinking. Okay. That's cleaned up. That goes into the bottom. And see how it's doing the exact same thing. So what that means is that they just did not strip it the right way, and the wires are just a little bit too long with the insulation, so I'm going to press down. I'll pull that wire back out. And I'm just going to take the wire cutters and trim just a fraction off of that. I'm going to insert it back in, and it should seat the right way. Okay. Still not going in all the way. No, it went in all the way. Okay, there we go. So I'll take out the wire that I accidentally put back in. Put that in the hole. That's all we've got left. Whew, this is a very uncomfortable position here. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So all we've got left is the ground wire. And the thing about the ground wire is it just depends on the... I gotta move some of this stuff out of the way. Hold on. Are we still recording here? I had a bug on the ground. I went to kill a bug, kill a spider, and the camera fell over. So let me get that spider off my finger. All right, so what we've got now, I've got more room, a little more comfortable. So with the ground wire, you've got to put the ground wire on. The ground is really important. And a lot of times, if you're lucky, well, let's get this positioned the right way again. Everything slipped on an angle when that thing fell. So a lot of times, if you're lucky, you can get this ground screw out. See, right now there's no power on this thing, so I'm able to do what I need to do. And look at it, the ground screw has paint on it. They paint it, it's painted over there, so it's got a ground, but it's not a good ground. It's not like it should be. If you're lucky, you can unscrew the screw on both of them. And that way you don't have to mess with the loop. You can just put the new screw, you can put the new screw in the wire. See, that doesn't come out. It's kind of tight. I'd rather get this out. That way I don't have to change the loop. No, it doesn't want to come out. It will come out. It's going to come out. And if it comes out, it makes it easier. If it doesn't come out, then you just pull the wire out with needle nose and put a loop back on there. So I'm trying to get the screw out now. And let's look at the ground wire. So it's okay. I mean, the paint's not on the area that is going under the screw, but the connection's really dirty. The connection is not clean. It still has a good connection, and it's a legit connection. The ground did show that it was good. But get that corrosion off of there. Now, if you're commercial, paid electrician, you're probably not going to spend the time to do this. You're just going to pop it in the wall in 2 seconds and get out of there and get your money and run. But if you're doing this for home, you might want to spend some time. So again, be careful putting your fingers on the wires. But this ground wire should pop out. I mean, the ground screw should pop out. And normally I would do that beforehand. I didn't do it this time. That way you don't have to mess with your fingers by the power wires. So I'm completely unscrewing the ground screw. Let's zoom out. And this way, now all I've got to do, I don't have to do anything with bending the new loop. I just put the screw inside the wire. Try to get it to fit in there. Might have to open up the loop a little bit. Pop the screwdriver in there. Get the screw to go inside the loop. And then you turn the outlet over there on the side and bent the wire a little bit to take off some of the pressure so that I can screw this in. Yeah, I know this would go a lot easier if I didn't have a camera in the way. I didn't have to worry about the light in the way for the camera, so And the other reason I like to do videos like this is because it shows real life. It shows what the average person is going to run into that's not a professional, that doesn't do this for a living, that can't pop these out in 5 seconds. It shows what you're going to run into, what you're going to deal with, problems that you might face. So the ground wire is going to be under there. I'm going to get the needle nose and I'm going to tighten it down a little bit. So I had to open it up to get the screw in there. So got the ground wire in there now. And that's why sometimes I like to do the ground wire first, because I don't have to mess with any of the power wires being in the way. I can just do this part, and then the popping the wires out and putting them back in is the easy part. So you've got the new outlet. It looks like it's all wired. Oh. Everything looks connected. The wires look like they're in there safely. Take the outlet, push it back into the opening over there. Find the holes in the junction box. Ah, boy. I know my hands are in the way, sorry. I just want to get one screw to grab on this thing, just one. That would be nice. I think I got the bottom one done. And I'm going to have to get in here with the top one. Get this screw pushed back a little bit. I can't even see it because the camera's in the way. I think I've got it. If not, I'm going to have to shut this off so I can get in there and see what I'm doing. With the rowing machine behind me, I can't really see much. Okay, I think I got it there. Are we feeding in? Okay, so we're feeding in. Let me put the screwdriver handle on here. So it's not a hard job to do. It's actually a very easy job to do. It only takes a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't require a lot of expertise. And you can probably save yourself 50 bucks, 100 bucks hiring a handyman from not having to hire a handyman or an electrician, which would probably be $85 or $100. So I've got that thing. I'm going to screw it in all the way to the drywall. And remember, if you break through the drywall, it's not the end of the world. There is I did a video on it. There's drywall. There's 5-minute patch you can buy pre-made, or you can mix it. And you can patch that stuff up. You don't have to hire anybody. So, what we've got now, we got the outlet over there. What I would love to do, and I'm not going to be able to do it in this video because I'm up in the loft and I'm doing 3 of these, is I would love to be able to power the thing on right now and show you that it's working, but it is working. So I'm going to screw that in. Looks like the outlet might be tightened down too much. It looks good. It looks fine. It's on an angle a little bit. If that bothers you, you can go in there and mess with the screws in the back and adjust it. But that's how you replace the 3 over there that I wrote. That's the circuit. I used to have stickers, but now I don't have the sticker machine, so it's the number 3, so I know what outlet it is, and that's how you replace an outlet from an old ugly or maybe a broken or not working outlet to a new grounded outlet with the color that you want or one that's working. So, alright, thanks for watching my videos. Again, thumbs up, subscribe, like, do what you want. I'm going to go over to the other side of the room and do the second of 3. I've already done most of the removal. Again, power is off on this one. Same circuit. We've only got 2 wires going in here because this is the end of the chain. So the 2 wires that we saw, 2 sets of wires that we saw on the other outlet One set goes over to here, and this is the end of the chain up at the last wall. So we only need 2 wires for the power, and we've got the ground over there. Again, all the same precautions. Make sure your power is off. Try to put some paper towels down on the ground if you can to avoid all of this junk or clean it up later. There's not really much to do on this one. What I'm going to do this time is, to make things a little easier for me right now, is we've got 2 wires in here, and I'm going to put this screwdriver in there. It was a little thicker blade, so it went in easier. The black is on the right side. I'm going to get the black out of the way. The white is on the left side. Push, pull the wire out of there. Get it out of the way. Okay, so it doesn't like the wide blade screwdriver. I'll push this one in there. See if this works a little better. Okay, so the white is out of the way. I know the power's off, but I'm just going to get these out of the way, and then what I'm going to do is what I was talking about before. Is I wouldn't do this if I had 4 wires, but in this case, I'm okay with it right now. I've got this over here. I've got no power on this outlet, so I'm going to go in here and unscrew the ground wire, which is not even tight. Not even tight at all. You don't want the black and the white to short out, but again, there's no power on there right now. These are older, so they're harder to pull these screws out. There's no paint on the ground wire. It's still pretty shiny, so there's really no reason to clean it up. So I'm going to go now and remove, I might need the Phillips over here. Go remove the ground wire. Screw. I'm going to put the screw into, yeah, that's a clean connection, so I'm not too worried about that. You can see how it's a lot easier to do this before the wires are in there, unlike the last one where I couldn't really put my hands around there and deal with this. This way is a lot easier. A lot safer. Screw my ground wire in there. Ground wire is tight. Tighten it down. Sandpaper. Wire is not too bad, but I'm still going to clean it up. You always want to work with 1 wire at a time. That's why I'm not going to rush over to the black wire now and worry about, if I had power on, shorting the thing out and killing myself. So you want to do 1 wire at a time. Be safe. Again, I'm going to screw these screws in like I couldn't do last time beforehand. I mean, after I had the wires already on there, so kind of not the right order to do that. This way I'm prepared. Keeping my hands away from the wires down there. Tighten down the screws. Take your time, don't rush, be patient, be careful, look at what you're doing, don't get distracted. Okay, now, you gotta be careful. Keep your hands where you know what you're doing. Go on this side over here, put the wire in. Now, I will deal with the other wire. I'll bet they sell something that's got a little wire brush in there that you can just insert the wire and it cleans it out. I would think somebody would have marketed that by now. I don't know who would use it, but it would be a great idea. Wire is clean. Keep your fingers away from both sides of the outlet. Push the wire in. Done. I got to be really careful here because you can see how all this drywall was added because everything was broken up. So I don't want to break anything and have to do a patch job. I wasn't going to record this one because it's shoved in the corner next to the rowing machine, but I realized there's no way I can safely do this without getting the rowing machine out of the way. So I can't even see where that screw's supposed to go. I'm just feeling around. I might have to... I can't even see. I can't even get in there because the rowing machine is here. Where does it go? Where's the hole? Okay, no comments on that one. I think I got it in the hole. Okay. So this is going to be, even though this is the hardest one because I had to move everything out of the way, I think this is the hardest one. This is still the easiest one. There were only 2 wires instead of 4. It came out of the wall fairly easily. Don't over-tighten. You don't want to over-tighten. This thing is wobbling all over the place. Okay, that looks straight. That looks straight. Now, I get my face plate out of the package. Put my number 3 on here because it's the number 3 circuit breaker. And I don't have a sticker, so I'm using a marker. And now I'm going to take, looking on the sides, nothing's touching the wall, everything looks clean. I'm going to put this over here. Yeah, and this is hiding. Is that screwdriver too big? Yes. You can't see the wall board, the drywall that got cracked a little bit right on the edge. All right, so that is 2 out of 3. Not too bad. It came out fairly nice. We're going to be doing the third one. This is actually the first in the chain. The wires go from downstairs up to the loft. They connect to this outlet first. Power is connected on the top. Power is connected through a switch, which means that I'm going to have wires on the screws, which is going to make this the hardest one of the 3. So the wires go to here, then they go to the first one that I did. That's why you have 2 wires. One set of wires goes over to the first outlet that I did, and the other set of wires goes to the second one that I did, which only had 2 wires on it. So this is definitely going to be the hardest. I had to move everything out of the way, the weight bench, so I could get in here and be comfortable for this, because this is probably not going to be an easy one to do. And I'm assuming that, like all the others, there's going to be no room around the edge because of the drywall patching. Oh, I'm wrong. There's a lot of room around here. Okay, so this is a good thing. Make sure you have your breakers off. Remember the first part of the video. Turn off your breakers. I'm going to try to get the lighting in here. I don't know how good that's going to be. Get your breakers off. Double check. Make sure there's no power. I'm not going to plug in the outlet because I know these are all on the same circuit right now, and I've checked everything with my meter, my power meter. So looks like I don't have paint in the bottom screw slot. I should be able to, no, maybe not. Put a little pressure down there. This is how I threw out my back last week, climbing up to the loft, doing all of this stuff. So moving things around. Let me get a wider screwdriver. And I know my video's long. Don't leave comments about how long my videos are, or I'll block you or report you. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to watch. You don't like the amount of ads I have on the video, go watch another video. Okay, so screw is out. Again, like I said before, there are little tabs on the back of these things that hold the screws in. They'll probably fall off when you're taking this stuff out. Normally I'd have better lighting, but I just can't get the camera and the lighting in the corner up here. And I'm right-handed, and I'm doing this left-handed on an angle to try to get this recorded. So it's a little awkward. I've got a lot of room on the left and right, so I'm not going to have to worry about the drywall cracking. I shouldn't have to. And just sometimes at the top, just go in there with the screwdriver. Be careful about prying and damaging, but just wiggle, it pops out. And like I said, I'm expecting 6 wires. I'm expecting, well, 7. I'm expecting the ground wire. I'm expecting the black and white power wire to go to the top. And, well, maybe not 6 wires. I'm expecting maybe a red wire, which is going to be connected to the switch that's going to go on on the back of this thing to power this outlet. Really important thing that I'm going to tell you in a minute that most people won't think about unless they deal with this every day. So I'll tell you in a minute, but there'll be a red wire maybe for the switching power and then a black wire going over to the next outlet. So let's take this out and see what we have in here. Yeah, there's the red wire. This is really important because if you could run into this, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to go like, oh boy, I don't know what I'm doing, and why is this happening now? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this outlet. Now, if you were going to be connecting only 2 wires, the black and the white, and you would expect power on both outlets, because you put 2 wires in, you're going to have power. If you put 4 wires in, you're going to connect your power going in and your power going out to the next outlets. And the way you get power on both is you've got this little strap over here that connects that side and that side. But if you have an outlet that is switched, or where you're controlling power only on one side, you're going to have to look, because you're probably going to have to break off this little tang here with needle nose pliers, bend it back and forth, so that you don't have the power on at all times. Otherwise, the switch isn't going to work. The power is just going to be constantly on because it's connected to be on all the time. So we're going to look at that in a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to go over here and look at this. I'm going to zoom in right now, if I can. A very old outlet. Lots of paint on there, but let's look over here. See, we're switching with the red wire, and we also have the contact is broken. I don't want to. The contact is broken right over there, which allows these 2 things to work individually. Now let's look on the other side where the white wire is. What is that called? That's the neutral. I'm so used to electronics where the white is the ground, but when you go in with electrical, it is the white wire is not the ground. So over here, see that little tab? That tab still remains because you need your neutral connected, which is really your ground, kind of. So you got to look to make sure if you are controlling the each side of the outlet, top or bottom individually, then you got to look to make sure that the tang is removed. And in this case, I've got the ground wire on the left, ground wire on the bottom left, which means I'm going to be breaking this little tanger over here. Yeah, I connected an outlet downstairs, and I went, what the heck's going on? Why is the light staying on? What did I do wrong? And I went, oh, let me look and see if they've got this tang in there. So I'm going to go grab this tang, and I'm just going to hold it with needle nose pliers and bend back and forth. And there it is. Removed. Tang is over there. Everything's removed. Now, when I connect this thing, it's going to be working the right way. So this has no wires on the left side screw, but it has a wire on the right. And so what that means is that we have the ground, we have the neutrals are connected, so that side is connected, the left side is connected, both of these white wires are connected together. And then what that means is that we have the black wire is going in here. Both of these black wires are connected, but we have the black wire going to the right side, and the left side we are switching. So this power, this goes to the switch, and this black wire goes to the next outlet. So we're powering the bottom outlet with the black wire. This one remains and daisy chains over to the next outlet, and this red wire is controlled by the switch. That's why we disconnected this. So when we turn the switch on, the power goes to here, to the top side. We don't need to worry about this bottom side because it's always connected. So what I'm going to do now to make life a little easier for me is I'm going to get this screw out of the way. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this on last or now. Again, you want to make sure your power is disconnected. Want the breaker in case you slip and some of these wires touch you. For me, it's a lot easier. Some people might just unscrew the screw, yank the wire out, and then go in there and put another loop on there. If you can get the screw out, that way you don't have to mess with the loop. And look carefully, you see how the wire goes into that little notch and then loops around the screw and goes into the next notch? On the newer ones, it's a little different with the notching. They just have more of an opening. They don't really have the notches like the older ones have. So I'm going to get that out of the way. I want to clean that wire up. These wires are very dirty. Get this job finished. Get downstairs and take the dog for her second walk of the day that she's waiting for. And she doesn't like when I come upstairs. She hides in the bedroom. I don't know why, but she hides like she's scared that I'm up here. And then when I go downstairs, she wags her tail and she's all excited to see me. So, watching my videos, you know that I like to only work one side at a time. For me, it's much easier. We've got the black on the bottom, we've got the black wire that's going to go on the bottom, and we've got the red wire that's going to go on the top. And in the other video, I did the ground wire first. In this case, for me, it's just easier to do this side first, and I'll deal with the ground wire later. And I'll just be very careful. So I've got that out of the way. I could put this on the outlet now, but I just want to clean this thing up a little bit. Ooh, that's a little warm. No, it's not warm. It's just panic. Look at that. Look at that. I haven't even done anything. Look at this. This is why you want to go in there and open up your outlets. This wire is just hanging loose. I haven't even done anything. This wire is barely in there. That's dangerous. That is not safe at all. It's scary. Bad workmanship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this red wire out of the way because I know the red wire is on top. And I want to get a smaller screwdriver in there. I just want to get the wiring out of the way on one side so I can clean things up and get the outlet out of there. I cannot get this to break. That was not even, it was barely being held. That's frightening. This one's barely being held also. Just scary. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the red wire. I know a lot of people don't watch these videos. I'm not famous. I don't have a huge following. So I'm not paying for advertising. So people aren't going to see this video. And it's not going to make me famous and rich on here. But if you benefit from this, that's all that matters. I like to do these videos. They definitely help out people, I know that. Just be careful, you got all these wires exposed. You don't want to touch the other wires. Make sure you're not touching metal. When you're doing electrical work, it's always good to have one hand free. You never want to have two hands touching something. You can see I've got this, but I've got this hand free. It's not touching any current. You don't want it touching metal. You want to have insulated shoes. You don't want to be leaning against metal. You don't want your feet to be in a puddle of water so that it completes the circuit and shocks the... Oh, I guess I hit the camera button. I don't know if it finished saying it shocks the heck out of you. We'll have to find out. The camera shut off. This wire is highly corroded. No surprise there. No surprise there because it was pretty much exposed. So these wires are just really dirty. 35 years old, 40-year-old wire. Slipping out of the slots over there, the pokes, whatever they call them on the back. So I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm doing this to all my outlets in the house. I'm sure this is a problem in every single house, but chances are it's never going to cause a fire. I'm still swapping everything out and making it new. So what I've got now, I got to find my outlet. I'm going to remember we have the ground screw goes on the bottom left. We have this black wire going under the screw, so I'm going to see if I can take the screw out now. Usually you can take the screw out. If you can't, then it's not good. And you just have to unwrap everything and loop it around the wire, around the screw, and then put it back together. So I'm going to see if I can get this. I'm doing this one first because I don't have to worry about touching any wires. I'll get the wires out of the way. And as long as your body's not grounded to anything, you should be okay. Doing all of this. Screw fell on the ground. Tighten it down a little bit. I'm going to turn this so that I can get it to loop to the back like it should be. And we'll look at that in a minute. I don't like the loop. I know it's safe. It's not going past the plastic. I wish the loop was a little tighter. But we're okay with that. I'm okay with that. That's not a big issue. Okay, so we've got that wire. Everything's fine over there. The black wire went to the bottom right. Should slide all the way in. Sometimes the wire doesn't want to go in, doesn't want to feed in all the way, because the tip is not perfectly flat or even because it was cut by cutters that distorted the wire a little bit. I show in all my videos, I like to turn these screws in so that they don't hang out and they don't bump into the side of the box or the drywall as you are putting it back together. So I like to turn all these screws in. Again, you'll notice I'm not putting my hand on both sides. I'm being really careful, even though the wires aren't there. I'm not doing it. So I've got my black wire on the bottom. I've got my black wire on the screw. I'm going to put the red wire in the top over here. It looks pretty long. I don't know if that's going to be hanging out or not. We'll find out. Nope. Almost. So it's not hanging out. So now if I had power on here, then I'd really have to worry about touching both sides. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and try to remove these two wires over here. Press in with the screwdriver. Pull out. Normally I would work with one wire at a time. I would take that, I would clean it up, and I would put it in, but it'd be more dangerous for me right now because then I'd be moving my hands over towards the outlet. So I'm going to get both of these wires out. And remember which side you're taking these from, the top or the bottom. It won't always matter, but on a switching thing like we have here, it could matter. In this case it won't, but it could matter sometimes. So this one came out last. This is going on the bottom. Corrosion's cleaned up, wires inserted. I'm going to go down to the store and pick up 2 of those 20 amp outlets now so I can finish off my 12 gauge thing. So now we've got remember we have, the whites are connected together, but we're still going to put them in the right place. Now all I've got is the ground. And remember I talk about safety, how you want to be careful with your hands. Well, I don't have to worry about hurting myself now because I've got no power on here. So I can go in here and remove this safely. And like I showed earlier, that's not even tight. Like I showed earlier, I like to remove the screws. Sometimes you can. These are really tight because they're old. But if you can, that way you don't have to... oh, my back is going out again. Not good. Not good. But I need to get this done. So I'll just have a bad back for a week. So I like to, what was I saying? I don't even remember. I like to take the screws out if I can, and that way I can just keep the loop and not have to worry about bending it again. Sometimes you need to cut it off and rebend, sometimes you don't. That's really corroded. It's very corroded. I don't want to shock myself. Get up here with the vacuum and clean up all this mess, all this sandpaper and drywall and all that dirt that came from this thing. So how's this looking? It's really dirty. This ground wire is filthy. And the camera's in the way and the light's in the way. Oh boy. Oh, almost lost the camera there. It's not even coming off. Wow. Okay, so we got the ground wire now. All I've got to do, again, be careful. You got power on this thing. I only have power on the right screw, but still. Everything's turned off, but I'm going to go over here right now, keeping my fingers away from both sides. And in this case, it might be a little easier to just wrap the wire around, but if I can get this screw off, which I should have done before I started. What I like to do is I like to usually take the screw out. Oh boy. I like to take the screw out, and I like to screw the 4 side screws in before I do anything. Let me do it this way. This will be a little safer. Before I start wiring anything. That really doesn't want to happen. All right, I'm going to have to move the camera so I can get in here. I did that earlier, but I didn't, so I don't want to break the ground tab off of this outlet, and it really doesn't want to come loose. So I'm going to bend that with my fingers. You might need to use needle nose. Loop that around. You can bend it with your finger. You can bend it with needle nose. Tighten it up. Get the screwdriver. Be careful about touching both sides. I hear the dog downstairs. Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming. Okay, I'm going to have to move the camera again. I think I've got the picture. Okay, so I've got the, yeah, that's still in there. Okay. Ground wire, tighten it down. You see how it's flopping around? I don't like that. That little tab shouldn't be flopping around like that. It's cheap. Got a good ground connection. The tab is over there. So now I'm going to go take these wires, push them back in. Don't put your hands on the side and touch the connections. The drywall's starting to want to break away. Am I zoomed out enough? No. Bad angle there. I'm going to have to lie down on the floor to do this. So, blocking the light, of course. My back is totally out now. Oh boy, not good. It just got better. Almost. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, oh. Okay, so the drywall is starting to break loose on the top. Got the bottom screw lined up. The top screw, I think, is lined up. I hope this is recording something. Is that going in the hole? No comments left on that one? No, it's not in the hole. I think the bottom one is lined up for the hole. I'm on the floor. I'm laying down on the floor in between this weight bench and a tiny little corner. Is this going in? I think it's going in. Okay, so we got the bottom one. Let's get the top one. I think that's lined up. I can't see. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this stuff is not that hard to do. It might take you a little bit of time. If you don't do it once, it's like everything else. If you don't do something like this, you're never going to do it. And you're going to have to pay somebody to do all this stuff for the rest of your life. So, if you're not competent or not comfortable with it, hire somebody who's qualified or have somebody show you how to do it. Otherwise, get a power thing so that you know the circuit doesn't have power on it, doesn't have leaking power, and make sure your grounding on the outlet is done right. And turn everything off, take your time. You break the drywall or the plaster, go buy some patch and patch it up. In life, we mostly have nothing but time. We have so much time on our hands that we waste every day. So why not use that time to do something like this, where you can learn how to do something and save yourself some money. Have a little pride that you were able to do this. Why isn't that feeding in? That doesn't make me happy. I don't. Okay, there we go. I think the hole is stripped. That is not good. If it's stripped, then it's definitely not good. Especially in these old plastic boxes that you don't want to replace. So you have to go in there and cut open the wall. But again, that's nothing but time. Okay, I think we're going in. I think I'm recording. I don't know. If I'm not recording, I'm sorry. I can't see the camera. I think we're recording. Yeah, we're recording. Okay, so now I've got my outlet pretty much held against the wall tight. Not too tight, not bending the ears. Take my cover, I'm going to open it up. I know the circuit is number 3, and since I don't have my stickers, I'm going to write a number 3 on here. I'm going to put this on. Let me get a screwdriver. I'm going to tighten this up. I'm going to go downstairs in a minute, turn on the power. Hopefully no smoke is coming through the house when I'm done. Kind of mousy how it's, okay, there we go. That's not too bad. It's lined up now. Lined up enough. I'm happy with that. Okay. So, I'm going to go downstairs, crank on the breaker, turn this thing back on, and we'll see how it looks. I really should carry some of these tools down, so I'll be back in a few minutes. There we go. Let's plug this in. I think the top one should have power all the time. Okay, so we've got the orange, the 2 orange, and the red is off, which means the power is connected the right way. I'm going to go down to the bottom one. There should be, I think the switch is off now, so there should be nothing. Oh, there is something. Maybe that's not good. Maybe that is not good. Walking across the room right now, and I'm going to flip the switch, and the power should go off. The power didn't go off. This is not good. Is that the right switch? I don't know. Okay, so the power is still on, which means that something's screwed up there. Maybe I removed the no, something's messed up because the power should not be on. The power should not be on. I don't know what's wrong. I'm going to have to open that up again and figure out what happened there, which I will do off video, and I might update you. Okay, what am I talking about updating? I'm fine. It's the top one that is controlled by the switch. So let's go back over here, and we'll flip the switch. That's not the switch. We'll flip this. Okay, so everything's fine. Off, on, off, on. So the wiring was done correctly on that. And now let's go check the other 2. The dog was very happy to see me, so that's a good thing. Now we are over at the, this was the first one that I did. Power should be on both of these. Yep, we got power, orange, red is off. And of course it's going to be the same. It's a tight outlet because it's new. And we'll go to the second one that I did, which just had 1 set of wires. And there it is. That is how you swap out outlets and upgrade to new outlets, new faceplates, new clean wiring without corrosion on them. Make sure the wires are pushed in, make sure they're tightened around the screws, that nothing's hanging loose, and that everything is safe. Thanks for watching my video. Hopefully it helped you out, save you some money. Again, if you want to donate to my PayPal channel, my PayPal for to support my channel and for all my time, that would be awesome. Most people don't, but some people do. And thumbs up, subscribe. It helps me as a YouTube creator. And thanks for watching. Make sure you watch all my other awesome videos.